The discovery of King Tut's tomb was one of the greatest archaeological finds of the 20th century, and now you can see it at the Natural History Museum as the kickoff showcase for the Balboa Park Centennial celebration. Here with a first look are my guests, Mick Hager, CEO of the San Diego Natural History Museum, and David Silverman, renowned Egyptologist and main consultant on the Discovery of King Tut exhibit, which opens tomorrow. Welcome to Evening Edition.
Thank you.
Now, Mick, as you like to be called, the exhibition is entirely replicas. How come they're just replicas?
Well, first of all, none of this travels outside of Egypt anymore. Even if you were in Egypt, you wouldn't be able to see these things because they're in storage. And the earlier exhibits that toured had about 50 pieces in it. This has over 1,000 artifacts in it. In addition to that, a big part of this is what Howard Carter discovered when he opened the tombs. And you see these artifacts stacked up like somebody's garage, just filled with artifacts, and you wouldn't be able to do that with the original artifacts. So it gives you that sense of awe and discovery.
And these artifacts are in storage, just to be clear, because they need to be protected. Is that correct?
Correct.
I see.
And there's unrest in Egypt at the moment as well.
I see. David, the replicas that are on exhibit here in San Diego are said to be scientifically created reproductions or reconstructions. How is that different than typical replicas?
Well, I think what that really means is that great care was taken in reproducing these. But the care was actually taken on a very human side, not on machine side. So it wasn't done through laser technology and that type of thing. It was actually done by a very good artist who had a group of local artisans in Egypt who were working on this from specifications by a German Egyptologist. So there were all different ways of controlling this and making it extremely lifelike and pretty much what the originals look like. And since I had handled the real material in earlier exhibits, I can vouch for that.
And just to be clear, what we have here on the table, these aren't the replicas. These are some things you can pick up in the gift shop, perhaps?
Correct.
Yes.
They're still very fascinating and look terrific. Now, Mick, the exhibit does try to recreate the experience of the first glimpse of King Tut's tomb by Howard Carter, as you mentioned, back in 1922. How are you recreating that sort of first glimpse effect?
Well, first of all, there's an audio-visual program right at the beginning, and you actually see photographs of Carter opening the tomb, the actual photographs. And then there's a little reenactment of him putting the candle through, and Lord Carnarvon says to him, "Do you see anything?" And he said, "Yes, wonderful things." And then the program ends, and then you go in and you see the tomb exactly as Carter saw it. And then you visit the burial chamber exactly, well, not quite exactly, because some of the artifacts have been removed, and Carter actually had to remove them to get into the tomb. And then you go to the treasury, and it's exactly like it. And then each piece is laid out separately, so you get to see them in their completeness.
And David, as one of the key consultants on this exhibit, what would you like to see people take away from this experience?
Well, I think the fact that it is an experience is extremely important, and that Howard Carter always thought, and he puts this in his writing, that he would find the tomb of Tutankhamun. And he had this in his mind when he was very young. And I think this is part of the message that's so important, that if you have a dream and you follow it and you do all the right things, you may be one of the lucky ones. And you can see that in the exhibit, you can feel it, and then you walk through it. And if you walk in his footsteps, I think you're going to be inspired.
That sounds like another good reason to visit it. Now, Mick, we'll end on this. Why did the Natural History Museum choose this exhibition to kick off and coincide with Balboa Park's centennial celebration?
We wanted to find something big, international blockbuster to help celebrate the centennial. I saw this exhibition in Germany and just fell in love with it. And thought this was the right thing at the right time, and I'm sure that that will prove to be the case.
All right, well, Mick Hager and David Silverman, thank you so much for giving us a sneak peek at this and letting us get in on this before it actually opens tomorrow. I want to let folks know that the Discovery of King Tut exhibit at the Natural History Museum in Balboa Park opens tomorrow, Saturday, October 11th, and runs through April 2015.